Hey now, good morning, PSW staff, clients, and of course our friends joining us. Welcome to Monday's film scoring class, where we look at a scene and I take out the music and you come up with the best possible choice, and there's a prize. So everyone should be participating. This is going to be fun. I've been looking forward to doing this director. Usually I like doing, auteur directors. Auteur meaning where you're in charge of the entire thing, the script, the direction, how it looks, the music. There's tons. Disney was an auteur, Hitchcock, that goes back to the French, New Wave, where they came up with that term, Truffaut and Godard. Those guys, Woody Allen, when you say those names, those kind of movies, because it's not, 20 executives in the same room deciding what bad idea we should come up with. It's the vision of one person usually. So this guy is pretty underrated. Underrated, understated. He's not out in the tabloids all the time, and he's not, he's just in his own creative, brilliant little world, and he's terrific. And we're going to look at one of my personal favorite movies of all time, and his second film, the great 1998 film Rushmore. Rushmore is an American movie, kind of coming of age, starring Jason Schwartzman in his very first film role ever. He was about 15 when he did this, and directed by Wes Anderson. He's the director that I was talking about in the prologue to this class. And Jason Schwartzman plays Max Fisher, kind of an eccentric teenager going to school at Rushmore, which is the Rushmore Academy, which is the school. In the story, and his friendship with this rich man who's like an industrialist, Herman Bloom, played by Bill Murray, and they both fall in love with the same person, and who's the school teacher, Olivia Williams, and so there's some tension because he's 15, Herman's an adult, and the school teacher's kind of in the middle. It really is a real, not throwback, but you can see a lot of Wes Anderson's influence with Mike Nichols' film, especially The Graduate. All these things he's taken from all the best directors. He's a personal director. I mean, these stories are very personal. Rushmore is kind of based on his experience at his high school, and they actually filmed it at his high school. So let's go over there to Houston, Texas. Let's leave the Biltmore, where we were on Thursday, and let's go to where they began filming in 1997 in Houston. So the budget was $10 million for this. It makes $17 million, but it's a cult. It became a cult film pretty quickly, especially by the time as Royal Tenenbaums was out a few years later. It was, okay, this guy's got a whole new style. A lot of that style has to do with his co-writer for these films, Owen Wilson, who of course we all know is a famous actor now. Wes Anderson he's 52 today. He's not today, it's on his birthday, but born in 1969. Kind of quirky, eccentric, very distinctive style. When you see his frames, his framing and perspectives, you know that it's a Wes Anderson movie, which is, sounds easy to do, but it's pretty amazing. He's of English, Swedish, and Norwegian ancestry. So So he graduated from St. John's in Houston in 1987, and that's where they film. This is the Rushmore, the fake location for Rushmore. So, but as a kid, he would make silent films on his father's Super 8 camera with his brothers and his friends, and he was very into writing and worked part-time as a projectionist when he was attending University of Austin in Texas. And his roommate happened to be Owen Wilson, and they started collaborating and writing, and Wes Anderson graduated with a BA in philosophy, so that was his thing. So his first movie was Bottle Rocket, which is a hilarious movie, 1996, and he wrote that with Owen Wilson. And the humor is very offbeat. It's dark humor, it's subtle humor. We've talked about some of those movies like The Graduate, and where you're not sure whether to laugh or to cry, or it's awkward. It's all these things that's kind of, I think that's part of it's very humorous. I mean, I'm just kind of going to show you just certain random scenes from Rushmore that I think are hilarious, but it's also the type that grows on you. I remember first seeing it and not really understanding it. You don't really get it, and then when it clicks, and you want to keep watching it forever and ever.
I like your nurse's uniform, Guy.
These are OR scrubs.
Oh, are they? Well, they're totally inappropriate for the occasion.
Well, I didn't know we were going to dinner.
That's because you weren't invited.
Take it easy, Max.
You were the one that ordered him a whiskey and soda.
So what's wrong with that? I can write a hit play, why can't I have a little drink to unwind myself?
This movie also launched Bill Murray again. I mean, Bill Murray was super famous, of course, with Saturday Night Live and Ghostbusters. Kind of went into obscurity until Wes Anderson brought him out. Kind of like Travolta and Tarantino, with Pulp Fiction, where he kind of rediscovered this great actor. So Bill Murray definitely, after that became a huge movie star in independent films, not mostly, but as well. He's been in every Wes Anderson movie to date. So his style is kind of fast-paced comedies. Owen Wilson and Wes Anderson, and their style is fast-paced, but and then it's very serious moments. So it's kind of comedy, but you're not sure when to laugh, what to laugh at.
Now, for some of you, it doesn't matter. You were born rich and you're going to stay rich. But here's my advice to the rest of you. Take dead aim on the rich boys. Get them in the crosshairs and take them down. Just remember, they can buy anything, but they can't buy backbone. Don't let them forget that.
And obviously visually, it's just his extensive use of flat space, and then these obsessive, small, detailed ways of getting his compositions, and a lot of slow motion, at the end, at the beginning of certain scenes, it'll slowly go into that effect where, and of course the music is so integral to all of his movies, and especially, this one. Originally, for Rushmore, he wanted all music by the Kinks, which is the British group. He thought that fit the character of Max, because he's this full of angst and all this stuff. And then it kind of went into just, okay, all music by the British Invasion. And that's kind of, but it's interesting because he had the soundtrack and the songs in place before and while he was filming. So Jason Schwartzman said that he had the score planned out before the movie began, and he had the whole soundtrack done. So he would give him and some of the actors tapes of the entire soundtrack before the shooting began. So he had it for every scene. And that's an interesting way to compose a movie, where you have the songs that you like, and those songs can dictate the pacing and the story and the narrative. So I thought that was really interesting, a way to go about it. You know, many times you just shoot the movie and then you figure out a score later. He had all the songs perfectly composed in his head of, oh, the choreography of this scene is going to go along to a Rolling Stones song, this song, and this song. And that almost gives you the style when you're taking songs from other people, but transposing them into the cinema. But he did use a composer. I mean, most of it is all British invasion songs, but he used Mark Mothersbaugh, who's a very famous composer, born in 1950, singer-songwriter, lead singer and keyboardist of the new wave band Devo. So their big song was Whip It, top 20 single in 1980. So one of the main composers for Devo. And there's so many different scenes that I was thinking about, but I really thought what Mark Mothersbaugh is very clever in this, and we're going to score the opening titles to this. Very clever because this time I'd like to show you the scene. This is the very opening without the music. I'm just going to put some room tone in, because this is how the composer, Mark Mothersbaugh, saw it for the first time. Because there wasn't, I don't think there was a temp score, or there wasn't, I mean, this is when Wes Anderson said to Mark, okay, well, most of the soundtrack's going to be songs, but I need you to compose certain elements, and you're going to have to score the very first song. So what is that challenge going to be like? So let's just look at the scene without any music. It's a very short scene, so this week's will be a very short assignment, but take a look. Huh. It's kind of scary, right? You need a starting place. I mean, you'd want to say, well, what instruments do you want to use? I'm in the process of scoring several different movies myself right now, and there's that panic of, well, what's the style? What feel? What do you want? Guitars? Do you want singing? Do you want trumpets? Is this so? There's a lot of freedom, but too much freedom sometimes gives one anxiety. So that's just, so I wanted you to experience that, because this is what Mark experienced, right? And so what he does is something really interesting. He's going to actually borrow from a composer that we already know about, Vivaldi. I mean, we know about these guys. That's why you guys show up to classes. Vivaldi, Baroque composer, right? Hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Didn't really get fame until hundreds of years later, so I don't even know where in the timeline that puts it right now. But Baroque music, ornamentation music, if some of Wes Anderson's filming is ornamentation, if there's details and intricate stuff, maybe that's where the music comes. Maybe there should be a lot of notes, a lot of 16th notes, and that's the Baroque era. So why don't we take a look at the scene with Mothersbaugh's score, and then we're going to listen to Vivaldi. Okay.
Unassigned variables.
Good, except when the value of the x-coordinate is equal to or less than the value of 1. Yes, Isaac?
What about that problem?
Oh, don't worry about that.
Wait, why?
I just put that up as a joke. That's probably the hardest geometry equation in the world.
Well, how much extra credit is it worth?
Well, considering I've never seen anyone get it right, including my mentor, Dr. Leakey at MIT, I guess if anyone here can solve that problem, I'd see to it that none of you ever have to open another math book again for the rest of your lives. Max, care to try it?
I'm sorry, did someone say my name?
Very fun, right? That's a mandolin. We know what a mandolin. It's a string instrument in the lute family. Lute, this was, kind of like a guitar, but pre-guitar. Double middle strings tuned in unison, so giving it a total of 8 strings rather than 6 that a guitar has. Listen to how closely this sounds to Vivaldi's Concerto for Mandolin in C major. That was written in 1725. So it's interesting that, well, what does old music have anything to do with a British invasion kind of eccentric new film? It doesn't matter. I mean, we don't need answers. Does it work? Yeah, it sounds great, right? I mean, it's a really interesting, different kind of soundtrack. I thought we'd choose this scene just because I love this music is called The Hardest Geometry Problem in the World. That's the name of the song because I wanted to also show you the scene of the opening of Max Fisher. But yeah, he decided to go back in time, back to the Baroque and do all of these, and there's some bells, there's mandolins, there's guitars. Really an interesting score. I thought that we would look at that. I mean, and it's just, the movie is just so funny and hilarious and, quirky. It's a quirky movie, but Wes Anderson really is I think he's kind of a little genius, I think, in cinema. So, okay, so see what you think of. It doesn't have to be Baroque. It could be no lyrics. Let's not have any lyrics. Let's focus on the music. Mostly just the music. It can be anything, but probably make it somewhat indie, somewhat quirky. Something quirky and indie would be good. It can be, Baroque, but I mean something that's just, this is a quirky indie film. So see what you come up with, and it should have some energy to it too. But play around with it, I mean, I want you guys to have fun with this too. And then you can get it to me by Tuesday. That's okay. Doesn't have to be today. Tuesday is fine too. It's going to be Bonnie-rific, Lloyd-rific. All the rifics. I mean, it's going to be great. So hope you enjoyed this class, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.